Hi guys, I showed you I picked this radio controlled car up in a charity shop about a week ago now. No controller with it and the battery pack was missing, but it's 27 megahertz and it works with my other 27 megahertz transmitters, so it does run. I did promise that I'd do a teardown. That's what I always used to do when I used to buy radio controlled cars in charity shops. And I used to split it into three videos or 3 episodes. One episode to look at the steering, one episode to look at the gearbox and motor, and one episode to look at the RC gear. So we'll do that. We'll split this over 3 episodes and try and keep them fairly short. If you saw the previous episodes, I 3D printed these clips to hold the bodywork in place. I also 3D printed that. It's got a bit of spring to it, so it gives us a little bit of front suspension. Without that there, these bits just flex in and out, and there was too much or too soft a suspension. The front wheels were tipping up like that. So I put that on there to stiffen it up a little bit. Anyway, let's get the body shell off. We do need to undo these, I think. It's a nice body shell. If I was a serious radio control car enthusiast, I'd probably use this body shell on something else. But as it is, this is what we've got underneath the cover. Right, looks like this piece will bring off the front bumper, and then these pieces should let us get down to the steering. Well, we'll find out, won't we, as we take it apart. A magnet to hold the screws. It is tempting to convert this to hobby grade. I just held that piece in. The only disadvantage with wanting to turn it to hobby grade is the wheels are hard plastic, so they're not very useful for off-road or anything like that. Does that pop out? No, it doesn't. Okay, let's have a look at the other side. Some people do comment on the fact I'm using this silly little table nowadays. That's because my workbench I just can't get to. That's upstairs in the spare bedroom. I've got so much junk up there. We do have a small table in the conservatory here, but that's currently covered in junk. And our dining table is covered in junk. I just spread. So that's why I'm trying to limit myself to a small table. It does at least mean that I got to tidy up after each little session. Looks like we've got to take this off as well. At least all these screws are the same size. Is that going to lift off now? Yes, it is. If I just pull that back off, it's only a push fit. So that lifts off. We could disconnect this bit here just to lift that off, but I don't see any point in doing that. So this is our steering servo. Looks like that'll lift out. Yeah. Right, a long screw. Spring, that's the self-centering spring. Let's bring it back to the middle. Right, we'll look at that in a second. And just look at this cam. Yeah, it looks like we'd have to unscrew the wheels to get that off. Or would it? That should all unclip actually, looking at that. Let's just have a little look under here. Oh, I see, if I undo those, that'll drop off the bottom of the steering. Yeah, we'll do that. Let's just put all this lot to one side so we don't lose them. My hand going to be in the way? Probably. Get another magnet for these bits. So that's going to lift off, I think. Yep. That's going to lift off so we can release. You got the, call that a stub axle perhaps. And the wheels do unscrew. I suppose I could take one off just for demonstration purposes. Put your finger on there so we don't lose the screw. So we've got hexagonal axle, stub axle there. So I'll call that a nail, flat-headed, short axle through there, push fit onto the plastic hexagon which the wheel is on. If I can put that down out of sight, then we could undo that if we want. So that's our push rods. I'll put that back on there just so I don't lose it. We can see how it comes off. Same at that end. That can come off like that. Okay. That looks like, oh, I think I can work out how that's going to come off. I'll take the others off for now, just so it's out the way. And then we can get the final bit undone. Right, that one comes off. That lifts off, so there we go. Only problem is remembering to put it the right way up when we put it back again. Right, what I was looking at here, this dummy suspension, I'll call it, looks like it's a push fit on a clip. There we go. Right, now that lifts out. So that lifts out of there. While it's in that position, it can't get out. When you turn it up 90 degrees, you can slide it in and out. So these pieces, potentially, I could 3D print bits and put proper springs on there to give it some suspension. So that's a clip fit on there. Right, I'll just move these bits out of the way. Right, now we'll look at the steering servo. Clearly we can see electric motor in there. There'll be some gears to turn this bit, which is spring loaded. With this bit. Which way around does that go? That is that way. Yeah, because that spring, that gives us a bit of stress protection. I think I'm trying to think of the right word for it. So you've got a lot of leverage from these big wheels. If that was solid, it would probably snap. So that bit of spring in it gives it a little bit of damage protection. I hope that makes sense. That's what I think that bit's for. Right, next, see if we can get this apart. How are we doing? 13 minutes. Yeah, so we'll be lucky if we get finished in 20 minutes. And this is just the steering, the front end. Although you don't have to see me put it all back together again. Lift that off carefully. Oh, we've got quite a set of reduction gears there, so that we got a cheap little simple motor there. But with all those gears there, it gives it enough torque when you get to this end to do the job. Try and hold that in place. Yeah. That whole little gearbox does actually lift out from the feel of it, yeah. So we could lift that out. Yeah, so do that again. That can lift out. Yeah. But I don't want to lift it out because I don't want it all to fall apart. Okay. So that's our steering. Right. I'll put that all back together. Oh, I'll just do a close-up of that. There you are, close-up of the gearbox so you can see the number of gears in there to give it its torque. Before I do reassemble the front end, if I was going to hobby grade it, then I would use something like this. A nice big solid beefy servo. That would fit in there in a similar position to where that one does. In fact, it'll probably fit in exactly the same position. Or could. And then that's your turny bit. Wouldn't use any of that there. I have tried reusing that sort of thing in the past, but there's no point. All we want is the that bit on the front of there, and then that can push the arms or the push rods to do the steering. But we're not doing that today. That's just letting you know. Whoa, hang on, mate. Don't you go anywhere. Yeah. That's just to show you the potential, what we could do. What we may do at some time in the future. Right, I'll put this back together now, this end, and then we'll have a look at the next bit. We need to do a little bit more before I finish putting the steering back together. I forgot to mention the steering adjuster on the front here. Right, we can't quite see it there. It's just under there. But that's where that comes into operation, that spring there. So as that goes one side or the other, it's just doing the tiniest little bit of adjustment there. I don't know if we can even see it move. But it's just pushing. There's a black plastic peg there, and it's pushing it slightly to one side or the other, which changes the midpoint on the steering to get the car going straight. Shove that back in there. So when the steering goes one way, that spring pulls it back to the middle, and it goes the other way. That spring leg pushes it back to the middle. At the moment this is loose in here anyway because we haven't got the top cover on. And by moving that, we're putting a little bit more tension on one side or the other of those spring legs. I guess if I take this out without the magnet on it, we can have a close-up look at that steering adjuster. Lift that up. Come on, up you come. Right, so we've got that bit of plastic has got a little line down the middle there. And the steering adjuster, this fella, has got ridges on it. So when that's rubbing against there, that'll actually click over a click at a time. There's one of those ridges lines up with that bit of plastic, that little ridge on there. So go click, 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 click to hold it in place. And then looking at this, can we see it? Yeah. As you turn this, that's offset or off center. So as you turn it, it'll be pushing slightly to one side or slightly to the other, like a cam. So that pushes the legs of that spring one way or the other. So pop that back in there. Get that the right way up, yeah. Right, I'll tighten that back up again and make sure that those spring legs go either side of it. Right, that's the steering finished. Thanks for watching. You'll always find more information down below in the video description. If you like this video, you might like this one up here. You might like to subscribe just here. Over here is my latest video on my channel. And down below is a playlist related to what you've just been watching. Thanks again for watching.